Welcome to KRA's The Hub, the official podcast of KRA Corporation. And now get ready to hear workforce topics and trends you need to know on the go.
Hello and welcome back to KRA's The Hub. This is Doug Foresta. Of course, Jonathan Overall is here today, but we also have a very special guest. Joining us is Walter Simmons. He is the president and CEO of Employ Prince George's. He's also the executive director of Prince George's County Workforce Development Board, and many, many other things. Walter, welcome. Jonathan, always great to be with you.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Great as always, Doug. Thank you. So, Walter, first of all, I just want to give congratulations on recently being named the 2023 Workforce Professional of the Year by NADA. And with that, you've been recognized as an innovator in workforce. Now, in the world and in the industry, we've obviously seen a lot of changes in the past few years. A lot of workforce areas have faced challenges with engaging job seekers and really making their systems relevant to local businesses and the local economy. What are some of the main lessons other workforce professionals can take from how Employ Prince George's has addressed many of these challenges?
One, collective impact. Everybody needs to know collective impact. Everybody should, if you listen to this right now, start Googling. It's Googleable. Collective impact. We started our workforce system and lead the Prince George's County public workforce system using a collective impact model. So we created the first workforce system in America that operates as a free membership network. And so right now we have 163 members. We break them out into tiers, and we've been able to really maximize our outcomes, our impact, and really our reach throughout the county by bringing in traditional and non-traditional partners. So collective impact is something everybody needs to know. Two, braided funding. We can't just rely on WIOA or traditional funding sources. We need to utilize a braided funding model. And braided funding applies to the system. It applies to your organization and at the smallest level, your program. But braided funding. And then lastly, number three, everybody says, well, Walter, I can't do what you do. I don't have the funding, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I didn't have the funding either 5 years ago, 6 years ago, right? But I helped create the funding. I advocated, I explained, I educated people. And once they got educated, they really started engaging. So local and state level workforce development funding is something every workforce board, every workforce organization should be working toward. And slowly but steadily, county after county, municipality after municipality, state after state are allocating funds. Mississippi just allocated millions of dollars of non-WIOA, non-federal workforce development funds, non-ARPA, non-COVID Relief Act. And that's because somebody was communicating. Somebody was advocating and educating. So you need to look at local and state workforce money. You need to, pitch and know how to utilize that money using a braided funding model and really not try to keep that money tight. Spread it out using a collective impact model so you can maximize your impact.
Thanks so much, Walter. So, all right. So, listen, we went through this period of time where everyone was talking about unprecedented change. Maybe we'll stop using the word unprecedented, but certainly there's still a lot of change going on in the world and, of course, in the economy and workforce. What are your thoughts about what do you see as some of the most significant changes that the workforce system is going to need to do in order to stay relevant, over the foreseeable future?
Well, one of the biggest changes is looking at the decrease in people in our labor force. We have low unemployment and we should take credit for that. Hey, we did it. I'm taking credit for it. When I came into our area, we had a 4.5% unemployment rate. Now we're down to 1.7, the lowest unemployment rate in Prince George's County history. And yes, as a workforce development professional, I'm taking credit for that, right? I post the jobs. I help fill the jobs, which means I create employed people. I create jobs from a Bureau of Labor Statistics standpoint, right? So, but the issue is Prince George's County, when you take June of 2023, comparing it to June of 2019, 4 years ago, we have 27,000 less employed people, or 27,000 less people in our labor force, and a little bit over 10,000 less jobs, less employed people. And so now with seeing those kind of trends across the country, we have to transition from focusing on just the unemployed population to focusing on how do we fill our vacancies. And I think the biggest thing we need to talk about is incumbent worker training and revise our strategy. I think we should triple the investments, quadruple, 10 times the investments in the incumbent worker training, and saying when you have low unemployment, and for me, I got a 499 square mile county, 484 square miles. You know the level of effort it's going to take to travel 484 square miles trying to find 11,000 people, right? That's like finding a needle in a haystack. The businesses can't wait for you to find those people. So every business I talk to, they say, hey, I got these low-skilled positions and I got some middle-skilled positions, but Walter, I want to talk to you about low-skilled. I say, correction. You don't want to talk to me about your low-skilled position. You want to talk to me about your middle and higher-skilled positions. And you want me, what you don't realize is you want me to help you take your lower-skilled staff and train them to go into your higher-skilled positions, because that's going to be the easiest opportunity. And then you want me to go fill those lower-skilled positions with people out in the community that you don't know. Because right now, extremely talented and unemployed person is employed, right? Or they're not looking. So incumbent worker training, we're going to have to start from within to start fixing our talent pipeline based on the labor market. And if you're not talking about incumbent worker training, you're going to be struggling. You're going to be getting a lot of complaints. I think that's going to be the biggest change.
Thank you so much, Walter. I know that I know you have the blueprint for Maryland's future, right? Where they're making an investment in career counseling in public schools with local workforce boards leading the effort. What approach are you taking to meet the blueprint's goals in Prince George's County? And then I'm curious also, sort of as a follow-up, how you think that initiative compares to investment in K through 12 career opportunities in career preparation in other states?
Well, kudos to Maryland. Senator Jim Rosenfeld, all of our Maryland delegation, right? Kudos to all of those people, because they took the necessary steps to what we need to develop our talent pipeline. If you have a 1.7% unemployment rate, if you have 27,000 less people in your workforce, and you have 11,000 less employed people, you gotta find this talent pipeline somewhere. We know that baby boomers are exiting the workforce at a high rate, and they're going to continue to exit as they get older, right? So what are we going to do to backfill these job opportunities and fill the vacant ones? We need to develop a new source of our talent pipeline, and the largest in our system, right? And how we utilize our logic. We say, y'all know I'm from the South, so I'm gonna go around the barn to answer this question. I know Doug, Jonathan, I don't know where you're from, but Doug, I know Doug's from New York, so he wants to take the subway, but I'm going around the barn, right? So before we get into that, know that from our standpoint, we see our system as having the job seeker as the product, the business as the customer, and all of our communication, education, community education, and workforce providers as manufacturers, right? And they're manufacturing talent, which is that job seeker, which is the product. So in every local area, normally the largest manufacturer of talent is going to be the public school system, right? Everybody doesn't have a college. Everybody doesn't have private career schools, but everywhere in the country has a public school system. So normally that's the largest manufacturer of talent. So if you know that your labor force participation rates are going down, if you know that you have a large segment of your workforce that's exiting due to retirement, if you know that you have less people working because of all these reasons and obstacles that came up through COVID, your number one talent source is going to be your young people. And you know that the biggest place to find them is going to be your public school system. So that's what Maryland did. Maryland said, we are going to invest in our young people, in our public school system, and ensure that they're aligned with the needs of our businesses, that we're providing necessary skills training through career technical education and apprenticeships. And we're going to bring in the one entity that universally works with job seekers, educators, and businesses every single day, because 51% of their boards must be business with the workforce boards, right? So what are we doing? What we believe inside of this, all the stuff that I just listed, right? what we believe is that we have to be the universal translator. We have to be the Rosetta Stone of workforce development as a workforce board. We believe that all of these different partners are speaking workforce development, but they're speaking a different dialect, right? So we're going to come in and translate each dialect so that everybody can understand what they're doing. And so we simplified this process. We said that there's 13 in-demand industries in Prince George's County. We've prioritized 11, and through those 11, we've grouped them into 6 in-demand industry clusters. And what our goal is with those 6 in-demand industry clusters, I'm going to shout out CALE, the Council for Adult and Experiential Learning. We procured a project with them, and they're creating career pathways maps for each of those industry clusters, where we're going to identify the pathways, the classifications and the job titles, and the education, workplace, and personal competencies and skills that are needed for someone to traverse each career pathway in each cluster. And so that we simplified it. So now every single person, from parents to post-secondary educators to secondary to elected officials, everybody's using the same playbook for our careers. And Doug, the simplification of our system and us stop using all these code names and trending names and acronyms is the first step. And that's what we did through our career pathways. You can visit pgcajc.com or employpg.org if everybody wants to check out our career pathways booklets. And we're dispersing them throughout the county. And so that's the first step to the process, is simplifying and translating.
I love that, Walter, simplifying and translating. I also like the illustration you used about the manufacturing environment and how that translates to the economy. I wanted to key in on something that you mentioned earlier. You mentioned collective impact. And I know you've been a champion in the region of Prince George's County with the American Job Center Community Network and really connecting some of the different organizations within the county. Now, obviously, KRA is also a part of that network as an organization. Describe for us, what is the vision and really the uniqueness of the different organizations coming together and making an impact collectively in the workforce system?
So what's the difference between collective impact and a normal system?
Yes.
Well, I think for us in a collective impact, there's really some core competencies. You need a backbone organization that's pulling everybody together. You have to have shared data, but you also have to focus on who is the expert and what function of what you're doing, right? And then you have to have a universal goal for the whole group and ensure that that universal goal is meeting the individual goals. So what we're doing in our model is saying that there's hundreds of experts in our system and our accounting, and we want to work with every individual expert for that specific expertise. So we know that Employ Prince George's does career readiness. We do workforce training. We do case management. We do career coaching. We also do some entrepreneurship. But do you really think Employ Prince George's is the expert in entrepreneurship? Do you really think we're the expert in skills training? No. So when we're going in, our primary role in every single thing we do is to find those experts and partner with those experts. And that's why about 55% of every dollar that we bring in goes back out to the community, because we're funding the experts to implement their expertise. The second thing that it looks like after that is now we build capacity. Now that we're doing that, we can exponentially serve more people because we're not trying to do isolated impact. We're spreading out the impact. And so when you do that with the collective impact model, you then now can expand your eligibility and accessibility, which means we are actually serving more people. And that also means that we're getting more money. So we went from $5 million in 2018 to roughly about $29 million in 2023. We went from starting with 30 plus staff to now 150 plus staff. So identifying experts, bringing them in, deploying them by expertise, funding them to do that, then opens the door to serve more people, which then opens the door to get more money. That impacts the growth. And now we're really aligning the goals across that universal goal where we want to get everybody employed. But when we identify the individual goals of each organization, it's also given us a different perspective on what we measure. So we now not only measure performance, we measure impact, right? And that's another one. What is the impact of this partnership? And, just because you passed your performance, and Jonathan, I know you know this, oh, we're dark green in our performance on the wheel of Christmas tree. That doesn't mean that you actually helping people get jobs right now, because wheel performance is lagging. You could have not got one person employed last quarter and have dark green performance, because the quarter of performance is not last quarter. So that's why we talk about impact. And I think those are the big things that are different, is that, and I think that's the biggest, is we track performance measures and impact measures. And that also is the reason why we get the funding that we get, is that people can see impact, they can feel impact. They can't see or feel performance. That's not something you can see or feel in a community. You can't see jobs and decreased crime and decreased poverty from looking at the U.S. Department of Labor's Christmas tree report. And that's probably why WHEEL can't get reauthorized, is because Congress can't feel the impact of the public workforce system. And then when you add in, when we go meet with them, we start talking about Wilma Wagner-Pizer and CSEP and Margaret and RSEA and ROWE. When you combine all of that, that's why they just start, they probably like, when is this group leaving? Because we don't understand what they're saying. All of this stuff compounds into some of the biggest issues that we have.
Walter, first of all, I want to say congratulations. Employ PG is celebrating its 5th anniversary, correct?
5 years, brother. 5 years. Thank you. I got all the gray hairs. I got all the gray hairs and the decreased amount of hair at the top of my head to account for it.
Well, so let me ask you this. I know you don't have a crystal ball, but if we fast forward 5 years, what would you see Employ PG looking like in 5 years?
A couple of things. Employer Prince George needs to buy a facility. We need to buy a facility. We need flexibility to be innovative. You need room to think, right? That's why people have big heads, right? And so that's what I'm gonna say. I got a big head because my brain needed room to think. My brain just needs more room than yours, right? At least that's what my mom told me, and it stopped me from getting picked on, right? So y'all don't answer that. Don't respond, Jonathan. I see you getting ready to respond. Don't respond to that, right? That's between me and my mother. But 5 years, we want to do that because we want to be able to align with the market and move with the market. A lot of times, workforce development professionals and systems, by the time we try to come up with a solution for a problem, the problem has changed 10 times. 2, we really want to be focused on data and telling our story. We're going to be quadrupling the amount of data reports that we pull and quadrupling the how we tell that story. And 3rd, we're actually going to try to engage more businesses than we have so that we can get a better pulse on the market. So increasing engagement, more data, better telling the story, purchasing a facility. And lastly, while we're purchasing a facility, we're also investing in technology so that we can project what's happening in that facility and the service be delivered across all 499 square miles through digital technology and other AI accessible tools.
Well, I have no doubt that you will achieve all that and more just based on your track record. And I think everyone, like I said, you are someone that many, many people in the workforce system know and really, hold you and the organization up as a role model of what we can achieve. So, Jonathan, I'll turn it to you to close it out. But, thank you, gentlemen, for letting me join you here today.
Hey, Walter, again, thank you. You dropped a lot of great insights today. I love your quote about impact. People feel impact. They don't feel performance, and they can see it. It's tangible. And so I know that I was inspired by what you shared today. I hope our listeners were as well. And just the passion, the vision, the energy that you bring, and the results. And so, again, thank you for the work that you're doing in Prince George's County. Thank you for the work that you're doing really within the industry of workforce development and for joining us here today. I know that there was a lot of value for our listeners. So thank you, and look forward to seeing you soon at some conferences.
Likewise, thank you for the opportunity. I'm looking forward to seeing you both pretty soon.
Thank you for listening to KRA's The Hub. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. To learn more about KRA Corporation, visit www.kra.com. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll be back soon with a new episode.